Okay, so sit yourself on your left and then come into a cross-leg position. So just feel how just sitting with intention is a good feeling. Just to sit on your mat, to sit on your lift, and to just hold onto your knees and lift and open the chest. And just to know that we are here with the intention to stretch out the physical body. So just feel how the physical body feels right now. Spend a few moments listening to the breath. Just listen to the sound of your breath as it enters and as it exits. Just look down at the floor, look at something that's not moving. And sometimes it can be just a little positive affirmation to set a purpose or an intention for your practice today. And then bring your hands into Namaste. Press your palms firmly together, lengthening from the armpits into the elbows. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Aim to take deep inhalations, slightly deeper than usual inhalations, and normal exhalations. Allowing the chest to expand with the inhalation and the exhalation. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude. Something or someone or somewhere. Something, someone, somewhere that brings you a feeling of positive energy. Just hold on to that feeling of abundance in your heart area, and then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open. Hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn with the exhalation. Digging the back hand firmly into the floor, drawing your abdomen across from the left to the right. Turning the chest, turning the abdomen. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the center, lift up into the chest, driving the chest upwards. Take a deep inhalation. And then turn to the right side, drawing the abdomen across from the left to the right. So to the left side, turning from the right to the left. Just feeling how you release the energy of the spine by turning. Warming the spine up and turning a little more deeply with the out breath. Working with your own sense of ahimsa, just that non-violent approach to extension. And then come back to the center. Come off your lift and then sit back on your heels for adhu virasana. So just sit back on your heels. Just feel how the legs adjust to the shape of the mat. Just draw the outer buttock flesh down into the inner heel, so that you make really good connection between the heels and the seat bones. Lift up into the chest, really driving the chest upwards. Press the shins consciously into the mat, so the thighs activate, the spine elevates up to the ceiling, and then hinging entirely from the hips, stretch your arms out in front. So just coming forward into adhu virasana, keeping the front chest lifted. Extending deeply into your arms. Just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters, as it exits, pushing your palms deeply into the floor. Lengthen the tailbone down towards your heels. Lengthen from the hips into the armpits, into the arms, into the hands, into the fingertips. And then come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as the mat, have your feet as wide apart as the mat, and then come up into dog down, keeping your knees bent initially so that you can really activate the seat bones, lifting the seat bones high so that you can draw the shoulder blades in. And then begin to straighten your legs, pushing the kneecap into the socket, Pushing the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. So pushing the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. Just feel how that stretch is a welcome energy lift. Just breathing evenly and deeply, breathing into both lungs evenly. And then step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. And then use blocks for your hands if you're coming into half uttanasana. So come into half uttanasana if you've got problems with your back. Otherwise, come into full uttanasana. So have your feet as wide apart as the mat, with the outside edge of the mat in line with the edge of the feet. Stamp the big toe into the floor. And then stretch into the little toe side of the foot. Tighten the kneecaps. Draw the fronts of the thighs in. And then just raise your arms up. Have your arms wide to start off with, because a wide arms allows you to lift the chest. It's supposed to elevate the spirits, to lift the chest up to the sky. And then bring your arms parallel. Hook the thumb into the crease of the opposite elbow. Wrap your fingers around your elbows. And then hinge at the hips. Come forwards, hinging at the hips. Keeping the front chest long as you do. And then hang down. Hitting the kneecaps into the backs of the knees. Lifting the fronts of the thighs up towards the hip socket. Just feel that the legs are working evenly, and if they're not, try and identify why they're not and try and access that even lift and extension of the legs. Draw your attention into the feeling of the pose and try and get both legs to feel the stretch in the same way. So if you're trying to get more stretch at the back of the leg, often you have to focus on activating the front of the leg. So go for evenness of extension. Activating both legs, making both legs feel even. And then bring your hands onto the floor, just stretching forwards on fingertips in half uttanasana. And then just walk your hands towards the end of your mat. Have your hands shoulder width apart this time, and then step your feet hip width apart. And then just come back up into dog down. Just observe if you can activate your legs evenly like you were doing in uttanasana. And then bring your feet together. So step the feet into the center of the mat and bring the inner edge of the feet together. So we're going to do ekapada adhu mukha svanasana. That means one leg. So spread the toes of the left foot. Feel where the hips are. Feel where the pelvis is. Try and maintain the levelness of the pelvis as you raise your leg up. Keep turning that lifted leg in Tadasana. So you're turning the front of the thigh inward so that the hip stays level, so the pelvic bone stays level. Extending up into that heel. So it's not pointing the toes, it's pushing into the heel, flexing the heel. Trying to keep the feeling of the pelvis level. Bring that leg down, just reset in the middle. Spread the toes of the right foot and then raise up the left leg. Again, Tadasana rise in both legs, like you're doing parsva. Just try and get the leg in line with the spine and the arms. Okay, and then bring that leg down. Step the feet hip width apart. Again, just one last extension into dog down. Just bring in the heels down just to stretch out the backs of the calves. And then step your feet forwards and then just come up into the standing position. Just come into Tadasana. Just feel how your energy has lifted. Just spend a few moments listening to the breath. Stretch into the fingertips, turn your palms all the way out, rotating the upper arms in the sockets so that the collarbone is broad. Fill your lungs from the bottom to the top. Empty your lungs from the top to the bottom. Keep trying to rotate the upper arms in the sockets. And then just gently release. Just get hold of your belt and then put the belt over your right shoulder. For gomukhasana. So have the inner edge of the feet together, lift up into the chest. Feel that you can really elevate the chest upwards. And then again, just rotate the upper arms in the sockets. So that this inner armpit reaches around towards the outer armpit. Stretch your arms out in front, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head, just warming up the shoulders. Keep the legs active, keep the feet together, keep the fronts of the thighs turning in, tucking the tailbone in. Keeping the shoulders down away from your ears by drawing the trapezius muscle down the back. Release, swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then again raise your arms over your head. Try and wing your arms beyond your ears, really opening up the fronts of the armpit. And then release your arms. Just come back into Tadasana and then stretch your left arm out in front. Turn the palm all the way out and then rotate the upper arm in the socket as you reach away behind you, trying to keep your shoulders as level as you can as you do, and then bring that arm up and then try and stretch the fingers up towards the neck. So with the other hand, assist that hand up your back. Lengthen from the shoulder into the elbow of that bent arm, shoulder into the elbow, and then lengthen really consciously from here into here, and then stretch up a little more. Reach up with the right hand, really extend into the arm. As you bend the elbow, keep the elbow at the highest thing of the pose, keep extending into the elbow, and then see, can you get hold of the other hand? If you can't, like me, then that's what the belt is there for. But as we stay, you can just try and creep your hands just a little closer so that they get a little closer. So just be in the pose, just lengthening the bottom elbow towards the floor, the top elbow up towards the ceiling. Just a little tug of war with the elbows. Keeping the legs in a conscious Tadasana. Just lifting up into the chest, lift your toes off the floor to activate your legs. After you've been there for a little while, see if you can just creep your hands a little closer together. Breathing evenly. Feel that the elbows are stretching away from each other, helping you broaden and open the chest. And then release the top arm. Drop the chest a little to just let that bottom arm just gently release and then stretch down into the fingertips. Just be in Tadasana, just let the toes come down. Just be in Tadasana, just breathing evenly, just feeling that the other side is, that left shoulder is recovering from the stretch. Put the belt over to the other shoulder and then stretch forwards with the right arm. And then lengthen from, so as you stretch forwards, just observe, do you stretch forwards and just stretch the shoulder forwards straight away? Or can you keep, when you stretch forwards, can you keep your shoulder where it is, but without extending that shoulder forward, can you extend from the shoulder into the fingertips? So as you stretch that arm forward, try not to disturb the shoulders too much. Turn the palm, rotating the upper arm in the socket, stretch away like you're doing the breaststroke. Turning the upper arm in the socket and then assisting the other arm up the back. So one side will feel different to the other. And then raise the left arm up. Just feel how the previous pose is still in the shoulder. So just lengthen out of the previous pose in the left arm and then bend that left elbow and get hold of the belt. Just or get hold of the hands. So I'm just assuming, because I can't get hold of the hands, no one can, but that's not true at all. So just get hold of the hands or get hold of the belt and then lengthen the elbows away from each other so that you really lift and open the chest, keeping the legs firmly in Tadasana, tucking the tailbone in gently. Just listening to the sound of the breath. Keeping the hands a little closer together, whether you've got hold of the belt or you've got hold of the hands, just try and keep the hands drawing towards each other a little more. Some people can get hold of it, the opposite wrist. So just working to open up those stiff shoulders. Just focus on the breath. Okay, and then just release the top arm, and then release the bottom arm, and then stretch your arms away. You can drop the belt, stretch the arms down. Feel how the shoulders have opened up. Again, rotate the arms in the sockets, turning the palms out to face the sides of the room, turning the upper arms in the socket so that the collarbone becomes broad. It's great for positive thinking. And then just gently release. Just come back into Tadasana, just lift up into the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards the chest, and then step or jump the feet nice and wide. Stretching your arms out, feeling the openness of the shoulders after the last poses. Turn your left toes in, right leg and foot all the way out, and then face the front. Spread your toes, lift up into the chest, and then extend over onto your right side. Turn the chest face up to the ceiling. Turning the chest up, lift the chest up to the ceiling, spread your toes. Just feel how the legs get a really good stretch, especially the hamstrings. So feel the legs stretching out. Just keep turning the abdomen. You can even just keep that top hand on the hip, and then just work to really turn that top shoulder towards the back of the room. Breathing evenly and deeply. So just use the chair under if you need to, so just don't go down so low. And then reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, keep the arms outstretched, swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out. So Andrew, just remember, you don't have to go all the way down, just have like a chair or a little table or something, just come down, just bring your hand onto that so that you don't go down all the way, and just work to kind of open up the chest. So your hips kind of resist this pose, don't they? So just, again, working with hands, just feeling how you can stretch out the legs without kind of overworking in other areas. Spread the toes, turn the chest up to the ceiling, look up if you can, or look forwards or look down. Just feeling the stretch of the legs. Just breathing evenly and deeply. And then bring the top hand down onto the floor on the inside of the left foot. Put the other hand on the other side of the foot. Turn that right leg outwards, the heel outwards, and then step yourself back into dog down. Just be kind to the body and just assist it into the new version of adhu, mukha, virasana. So the new version, every time we do the pose, it's a new version because it's happening now. So just feel how the legs respond to the pose. Are they working evenly? Aim to work the legs evenly. Lift the fronts of the legs all the way up into the crease of the groin, and then keeping the crease of the groin lifting upwards, keeping the fronts of the legs lifting up to the crease of the groin. See if you can bring the heels down a little, but without losing that lift of the front legs. Trying to avoid the creases appearing at the fronts of the ankles. So keep lifting the fronts of the legs. So for many of us, it's easy to bring the heels down, but it's not easy to keep the fronts of the legs lifted. So see if you can keep the fronts of the legs lifted and then bring the heels a little closer to the floor. Okay, and then just come down onto your knees, have the big toes together, the feet apart, and then just sit back on your heels for a moment. So just lifting up into the chest, just feel how energized the upper body and the arms feel. Just listen to the breath. Just engage with that energy that you have released. So it's nice when the poses stop sometimes, isn't it? Because then you get that sensation of energy, that uplifting energy in the skin. Just hinge at the hips, and then just coming to adhu virasana, trying to keep the seat bones down on the heels. And then lift your head, and then keep the right hand where it is. Stretch the left arm underneath the right armpit. Bring the left shoulder down onto the floor. Bring your head down onto the floor. Keep stretching into both arms evenly. Push the left arm really firmly into the floor, and then just gently roll your chest down to face the floor, so that you open up the inner armpit, the inner shoulder blade region. And then release, just come back and stretch your arms out in front, both arms out in front, and then come back into adhu virasana. And then this time, keep the left hand where it is, stretch the right arm away, keep the palm facing the ceiling, bring that right shoulder down onto the floor, bring the head down onto the floor if you can, and then just roll the chest to face the floor. Keep that left arm really firm. Just listening to the sound of the breath. And then lengthen your arms away, stretch into the arms, and then just release the arms, stretch into the arms. Come back into adhu virasana. Okay, release your arms underneath your shoulders and then push yourself up into a seated position. Just come up onto just sit directly on the floor, or if you feel that you might, so we go into upavistha konasana, so you can bring the feet nice and wide. Now if that makes you feel like you're going to kind of roll back like this, where you're going to sink in the abdomen and you're going to roll onto the back edge of your seat bones, then you can sit on a folded blanket. Otherwise, try and get your legs to really extend, turning the legs inward, so tightening the thighs, tightening the kneecaps, turning these inner knees down to the floor. Just have your hands at the sides of your hips. Have a couple of blocks where you can reach them. I should have said that before we came down, but see if you've got a couple of blocks where you can reach them. So at first, if you've got a belt handy, then you can use that. If you don't have a belt handy, then you can use a block, just getting hold of a block, holding onto the block and raising your arms over your head. But if you've got a belt handy, just get the belt and then pull the belt firmly, lifting the arms up and over the head, and then just let them go quite wide. So push the fronts of the thighs into the floor, lift up into the chest, and then try and just draw your arms beyond your ears. But keep the legs really firmly in Tadasana, turning the fronts of the thighs towards turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, lifting up into the chest. Keeping your arms straight, so can you straighten your elbows? So Andrew, see, bring your hands a bit wider apart. That's it. So bring your elbows nice and straight. Okay, and then release your arms and then get hold of the blocks in front. Now, if you've got a bad back, then just stay either with your arms over your head, just stretching out, or just stay with your hands at the sides of the hips and then just working to lift up into the chest. So this next part is quite strong for your back. Have your hands on the blocks, just keep those legs really, the fronts of the thighs turning inwards, lift up into the chest. And then just a little bit at a time, just step those blocks forwards, push firmly into the blocks so that you can lift the chest. It's just coming forwards just a little bit, pressing the hands into the blocks, lifting up into the chest, keeping the legs firmly in Tadasana. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. Keeping the breath deep and soft. Okay, and then just bring yourself back. Just stay with the hands on the blocks and then work to lift and open the chest. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. Just keep your right leg where it is and then just fold in the left foot so that the toes are pointing away, like we're going to go into sirsasana. So the heel is facing up to the belly button and the top of the foot is on the floor. So get your belt and put your belt into a small loop. So if you can, or if you can't put your belt into a loop, just put the belt over the foot. So put it into a small loop and then so it's kind of in good place. But if you can't, just kind of wrap it around the foot as we might normally do. Have your left hand on your hip, push the foot. So have it around the ball joint of the foot if you can. and then just hold onto the belt, and then turn the chest outwards, and then reach down. Maybe see if you can get hold of the hook of the belt, or get hold of the big toe, broadening the chest outwards, and then reach up, and then reach over. Now then see if you can get hold of the end of the belt, and then hold onto that belt, and then turn. So it's like a bit like paravrtta, janu, sirsasana. So if you can, you walk that hand down the belt, push the elbow into the shin, and then turn. Ultimately, we're aiming to bring the hand onto the toe, and then really lift and open the chest, holding onto the heel of the foot with the right hand, and then turning and opening. But just do whatever gives you that space to open and turn. Okay, and then just bring yourself back to the center. So pretty intense, isn't it? Stretch the legs out in upavistha konasana. Again, just take the belt off the foot, and this time bring the right leg into that sirsasana shape. So the top of the foot is on the floor, the heel is in line with the belly button, and then hook the belt around the foot and just broaden and open the chest. And then just reach up with the right hand, and then thread that belt into the hand, and then just hold onto the foot or onto the loop of the belt with the left hand, and then turn and open the chest. If you can reach down a little lower, then do, but try and keep that tension between the arm and the belt. Or if you can get hold of the big toe, hold onto the heel with the left foot, and then just turn the chest. Try and get the chest to face up to the ceiling. Okay, and then just let go. And then bring both feet just into swastikasana, into cross legs, lift up into the chest. Just feel the length of the two side ribs. Lift up into the chest, and then just gently turn around to the right side, keeping the seat bones evenly placed. And then come back to the center. Lift up into the chest, and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Just stretch yourself out along your mat, and then just come into supta, baddhakonasana. Have a folded blanket underneath your head if it rolls back. Have blocks to support your hips if they if this is uncomfortable in your hips. Otherwise, just allow yourself to release into the floor. Push in the heels together, just to keep compactness in the hips. And then draw your knees together, pull your feet in towards your body, lift the seat bones up, come right up onto the tops of the shoulders, place a block underneath the sacrum tailbone region, hold onto the sides of the mat, and then just stretch your legs out if you can. If you otherwise, just stretch, keep the legs bent, stretching out the front of the body in setubandha. Just a quick setubandha, just a brief setubandha, just to stretch out the hips, stretch out the front of the body. Okay, and then just walk your feet back to the blocks, and then lift the seat bones up, and then remove the block, and then just draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little gentle rock from side to side, and then just sit yourself up. Just have a blanket or underneath your head, just for the last minute or two. Just move your equipment out of the way so you can stretch out, and then just make sure that you go down into a really good straight line right down the center of your mat. If you're wearing glasses, it's nice to take them off, and then just allow yourself to just gently release into the floor. Just indulge in the straight line of the floor. Close your eyes if you haven't done already. And release completely into the floor. Let the arms release by unhooking the muscles of the arms and the legs. And the physical body become heavy on the floor so that the feeling of energy rises to the top of the skin. Just feeling the energy rise into the uppermost skin, distributing that feeling of lightness evenly throughout the body using the in-breath and the out-breath. Down into the tips of the toes, the tips of the fingers, the top of the head. And when you're ready, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, and then bend your knees in towards your chest. Just pull your knees in towards the chest, just have a little grounding massage on your back, rocking from side to side, from top to bottom. And then very gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Drawing your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends, the twists and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then very gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then radiate some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you have kind of really lifted your energy by stretching it all out and giving yourself good positive energy to put into the rest of your day. So thank you very much for joining me.